Hi, do you see me now?
Yeah, I do. Awesome. That's working.
Hey, this is our second one. The first one was a tech mess, so I'm really sorry. And thank you for showing up again.
No problem. Glad it's
Yeah.
hopefully we worked out technology. Um,
So yes, we are here to actually discuss about the book AI Everywhere. You were one of the amazing 26 women who collaborated and contributed in this book. And your chapter is actually extremely interested and important. AI and parenting with children, which is actually will touch many households and like many women and many
yeah.
parents are dealing with AI issue. So, first, let's start by introducing yourself and your experience and your background, Danny.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Dhani. I am a mother of two lovely children. They are still young age, and like elementary ages, but professionally, like I'm originally from Indonesia, born and raised, have worked in various areas from policy to commercial and to technology. Currently, I'm in the tech space, and part of that was sort of being living and breathing technology in the workplace, and then realizing, the other where the technology has started bleeding over into our personal and family life, and that's where I've definitely found an area that is, I'd say, not only complicated but also are lacking in the way we are talking and exploring it.
It's true that AI now is touching and it's getting faster every day. Like coping with it is not that easy.
No, no, especially, I mean, if you work in technology, like it's a very there's certain culture that is more dominant. And so when we talk about technology, it's less about how, as a family, we approach it, how we, as a parent, we approach it. And oftentimes it's all about skills, fluency. How are you fluent in technology? Not so much in like, what is the value you're trying to build in your family and how does technology falls into that conversation, and less and those sort of like more mushy topic around technology are less talked about. And if it is that we hear about it more and more today, nowadays, thankfully, it is more of a dichotomy of like really fear-mongering, like technology is dangerous for you and your family or your children, or the hype, like this will solve your time as a mother, who a working mother, or like this if you teach your kids how to do or use AI early, they can excel. But then we don't talk about the hard questions, like about what is the impact really, what does it mean to explain an AI to your kids, like what does it mean to have technology in your life, and how does that translate into what your child view and usage would look like. So that sort of in the middle where we actually talk about and unravel that, it's I feel is a little lacking.
Children actually they are not just the future, but actually they are the concern of many, not just a parent, but the policymaker, and they are going to shape the society afterwards. Okay, you tell us, it's like you have children. How do you approach them actually about AI? And now I'm sure like 90% of children, if he doesn't have a phone with them, they will have an iPad. So they
Right.
already access to apps and AI integrated in a way invisibly without them are aware of it. So how can
Yeah.
you teach your child how to approach it or the screen time?
Yeah, so I think part of what I'm hoping to share with the chapter of the book is elucidating how AI have been in our life. It's I call it an invisible curriculum because oftentimes we don't talk about it, but it's already built into the system that we use at daily basis, what our children use, and oftentimes also it is now if they're in school and whatnot, it is a policy that is driven by policymakers far from where you are as a parent or you as a caregiver or you even as somebody who's just concern about the topic altogether. So it's that pretty far from where you have control over. That's why I'd like to call it an invisible curriculum now. And a part of your question, to your question, like, how do I even approach that, Georgia? It's a big, loaded question. How do you teach something? And the way I would reframe the question is, how can we learn together with our children? Because I ultimately believe I'm not the smartest person, and I certainly hope my children will be smarter than me. And just to view as like me teaching them, it's a framework that I often have to unpack of like, we are the first generation of parents that is going through parenthood and also like childhood with AI for the first time. So to say that there is some recipe out there that is perfect for every parent to use is, I believe, unfair to say. So my approach has been co-learning and being able to help them understand with me what are the areas of concern, and piece by piece, slowly, and ideally age appropriately,
Yeah.
helping them own part of those decisions so they are accountable for this decision. Part of it I would make, if I would, like my children are young, so most of the time, obviously, I make the decision, but I involve them in part of those decision making and part of the consideration so they know why. Um, for example, like we've removed personal devices. Like I believe I'm probably not the only person who've gone through parenting during COVID. And at that time, hey, all
Yes.
devices. You got your own iPad. You got your own iPad. You got your own computer. You got to learn. Um, and we had I had to do a few reflection of like, is this the right approach for my children? And now we've taken it back. We removed personal devices. All technology devices are family owned. Any usage of technology is in family spaces. And then we talk about technology use, not just AI use, right? Because AI is one layer of technology, and we talk about it. My 7-year-old now would be able to tell me, or like when we watch things, would be like, "Mommy, is that AI? Like, does that make, it's interesting to make them not become
Aware.
just a consume. Yes, be aware, right? AI is there. Make them aware of that, and to not just become a consumer, and being able to be. Uh, my goal is being able to build agency of my child and their own technology use with as many as big tech
Yeah.
encouraging you and building your habits. I want them to be aware and make a choice and know that we're making a choice to use AI this way or not use AI a certain way. And that is a very long-winded way to answer your question of how am I teaching my child
Yes.
is I am
It's
co-learning with them, and to as helping them slowly, age appropriately, be part of the decision making of technology use so that they are becoming less of a consumer but more of an like having agency in their life.
Yeah, yeah, but do you see any conflict? Because as a woman, and we are as adults dealing with AI is it's a bit challenging, and when with our children it's like we are emotional. It's like he's a piece of you. You want to give him everything unconditionally. Is there is any line or any conflict you see, or how to be a professional? Because you cannot be professional with your kids. You want to do the right thing, but still your heart will always rule at the end when it comes to your own kin.
Yeah, I think that's true in many people, not only like with kids, but people we love,
That's really
in
struggle.
any relationship that we are in. Like, how do we build that?
Not professional. You cannot be professional at
No, I
home
won't use the
or
term
with your kids.
professional, but boundaries would probably what I use with them.
Yes.
Of like, hey, in our family, these are the 5 like values we use, or I won't like that's really formal. You can't talk to your kids that way, right? So you build boundaries in a way that makes sense. Like things that I tell them, like as I mentioned to you, no use of no personal devices for my kids that are still younger age. Every use of technology in the public space. There's no TV in everybody's bedroom. If we watch TV, we watch TV together. If you need to use computer, we use it in the family room, and so forth. So there needs to be rules that you set, whatever it is that works for your family, that it is a non-bargaining. I know they would be like, please, I'm like, nope, this is it, you can't. But you can do something else. So we need to be able to provide them such alternative, healthy alternative, or whatever alternative that works for your family. One of my children is neurodivergent, so I cannot explain to her the way I'm explaining my oldest child on like this is what you want, like this is more value. With her, I need to be a little bit more clear. Hey, this is a no, this is a yes. This is what you could do. She's only 3, but neurodivergent, and it's different. It's very hard to force
Yes,
your child. It needs to be what meet the child where they are, but do not change the boundaries. So you have to be clear. And I cannot parent for your child. All I can provide is like being
the
able to
framework.
get that the framework of like defining what right for your family.
It's true. It's true that in your chapter, actually, you made a very important point: how to raise the humans to understand AI as a utility, as a tool, not as oracle, which is actually a very, very important point because most people take it as like go to for the truth for any question, and they take it without understanding the bias and the dynamic how AI is built and what is the fault or limitation of it.
Yeah,
So how do you do this with a child? To teach
tough
him how
questions.
to
Yes,
make it
I
himself.
think the way I would, the way I attempt to do this at home, and I hope, if it resonates with people to do that, is demystify the magic of AI for them. Like if you work in technology, it's not magic anymore because you know like the
Exactly.
clinks that goes behind it, the things you have to fix to do help do that with your children in a way that it makes sense. So you can't just, hey, just ask it, it'll give me an answer.
Yeah.
I do this in a playful way with my children. For example, she had a question like, "Hey, mommy, like, how come the moon is always following us when we're driving in a car?" Right? And that's like a very basic question. And then she's like, "Why don't you ask your phone what's the answer?" She asked me to do that, and I'm like, "No, how about before I do that, why don't you give me what's your hypothesis? Like, why do you think is that?
How do you imagine
why
to
why do you why do you think it's always following us whenever we drive, right? And then she would come up to like, maybe it's because it is also flying, or it's like maybe there's a string that connects to the car to the our car to the moon, or like, but we made it fun. I made the conversation of finding out what's the right answer in itself, the process of learning, fun for them,
like a
right?
treasure
It's not
hunt?
about correct because in the AI
Like in
world, it's not
yes,
there is no shortage of information. There's no shortage of getting an answer quickly.
but not
So,
all the information is correct. One of the things
correct.
that a child cannot get the difference between them, and maybe your children. Your point is very important because your children, when they are young, they trust you and everything, and if you have time, you will give it. But some parent like doesn't have the time to sit. Life is taking is full of
Yeah,
them. Your plate is full, so it's not going to be easy to sit and play. Like you can give them 1 hour, but how about the rest of the day?
right. No, so that goes to my second point. So the first part is like helping them understand that the learning process itself is very meaningful and give them satisfaction on the process, right? And because
Okay.
by the time, like when my children, like, okay, by the end of this conversation, they forgot to like figure out what the answer is. And then I say, okay, do you want to hear what the answer it says? And of course, the answer is boring, right? Gravity, there's fur and all that. And then by that
Yes.
point, I told them like, look, what do you think is the better answer? And they'd be like, my answer sounds more fun. I think my answer is like build that confidence that you have the ability to get to an answer. That's one. But secondly, understanding that after that, I highlight we need to break that bias of technology is always objective. And then that is hard, right? Bias is everywhere. And two, helping them understand how the technology is built. So I do this with parallel stories. So, for example, like how does AI get in an answer? I told them the parallel of GPS, right? In GPS, you can give them like a location, and it will tell you the roads to get there, right? And oftentimes it gives you choices on how to get there. AI, at least like generative and LLM and all that, might doesn't follow that logic. And the way I explain to my child is like, hey, it gives you what's the most probable answer. So even if you type, what's the best way to get to New York? If you don't specify very well, it might give you New York Avenue in York Town versus New York City, where you think you're which I assume would be your answer, right? Given that parallel of like, oh, okay, so it's just going to give me what it thinks is the most probable answer to mine. That's one. Just elucidating that how the technology work is with probability. And you could use this in a more easier way. For example, like, what is the best fruit? And you
Mm-hmm.
tell them, hey, what AI does is that it will pull the answer from your classroom. Like every children in your class will then answer what's their best fruit. Most of them may be like bananas. So the answer that it might give you is banana is the best fruit. But do you think banana is the best fruit?
Some people
No.
might have allergy for it. It's like,
E-
yeah, you have to teach them that.
exactly. So
It's
being
not
able
one answer
to,
for everyone.
no, Frida, I think you're right. Like being able to all do all that is important, and elucidating with examples that make sense for children and not like the probability is X% and therefore like AI is, it's just,
It's
yeah.
one of the problems that AI is causing for adolescents and even children is losing agency. How to teach a child, because this is very important to build the character since he was a child, to give him an agency, not to lose an identity for an AI. Because when they trust AI for an answer, like they take it as not only the oracle, they make it like their comfort zone, not daddy or mommy anymore. They go to AI. So
Hmm.
how to help a mother, a single parent, or a mother or a father who's dealing with a child or an adolescent for not losing identity or agency to AI?
I love that question because even I feel I fear like even myself when like sometimes there's an easy button as an adult to be like, you know what, let me just have like get it to double check some stuff when I know my input it's probably already 90% of what I think it's going to be
Yes, we
like
adults are influenced by external factor. Imagine a child who cannot discern between them.
yeah and I that I'm not going to give you like like a black and white answer because I think it's layered. It's a layered answer to your question. One is, I think being able to, how do you build agency to someone is one, give them enough knowledge to feel confident that they be able to discern. I would not, therefore, if they don't have that ability to discern, don't give them the tool, right? So that is my principle as a parent. I will not give my child a tool that could potentially give them a wrong answer for things they don't know if it's right or wrong. So I think, in principle, is um, like I'll give you an example. Would you let your child cook for you before them knowing what is an ingredient that is safe to eat, whether knowing how to when to use a knife safely? So that is one. So I don't think the idea of like giving them agency immediately is the right way. You need to first identify whether or not that is they have the ability to discern. And then how do you actually build them? I'll go back to my earlier point of building that confidence in themselves. And this is what I fear with the approach in AI and education now. Once they have already seen the AI is going to be their coach, they're going to be their teacher, how would they be able to be confident that you as a human being have a value, have a valuable perspective? It might not be the best answer, but you can grow that whatever process of learning, becoming a better answer that best fit you. So I think that piece and building that confidence is really key. That's why I truly believe you need to allow your child to fall in love with learning, to fall in love to struggle, and it's really hard. Struggling is hard, and you kind of have to push them to fail a lot for them to be okay to give an output that might not be the best or AI approved, right? Like, in order for them to have agency, is also for them to feel comfortable with, like, for me to get to 100%, I will get to 50%, and that's okay. I use learning how to ride a bike a lot with my kids because the first time my oldest learned how to bike, she hates it. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And now she loves riding bike. But I told him
Yeah.
like,
Next
I
time.
yeah, first time is always going to be hard. Every time she struggles now, and she's like, I hate this homework. It's hard. And I'm like, you know what you also hate before? Riding bike. Now you love it.
Yeah.
And so make them forget that, struggling is not always bad.
Yes, doing in parallel, parenting in AI is like running a company. It's like if you are going to help a CEO, and this is you touch it in your chapter, to touch a CEO how to handle their employee, to maintain their ownership and independent thinking, not just to use AI, but not to be independent on it. How to teach a CEO, because CEO now is exactly like parenting. The way we do with children, they do with his own employee. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, I think is the view should always be empowering your employee to make that decision, right? Like empowering the employee to know what is the end goal. And they can decide what tools they go. Because a lot of the times we forget that what we want to empower is actually the user to be better. And then we only measure AI adoption. Like, hey, how many percentage have adopted this? And it's like, oh, that's not the point, right? The point is, have we improved a certain metrics or whatever is the end goal of the usage to do that.
That's true.
So even if they use it 15%, but they are 5 times more effective, then that is that's still the right metrics. So if I were a company thinking about that is I would like to go back and ask, help my employee be the one define what's the goal. So don't drive adoption for the sake of adoption. You drive what is the goal for uh, whatever metric it is you're trying to use, because then you get sidetracked on these like shiny adoption. And that's why a lot of adoption fail because they simply think, I just want everybody to use it versus what is the value
Yeah.
to them, right? What is the value for the user? What is the end goal? And you want to empower
There's no
user, not,
purpose. It,
sorry,
it, it, the purpose is gone. Is like, what is the purpose of using the AI? Is it optimization or is it amplifying? They are missing. It's like the signal is totally blurred, and they lose track. It's like you will see a lot of employees spend more time using AI and not getting any result. Is not outperforming. Is not helping for them. For some.
yeah, I
So
think your point on that also that I found I see in the daily life is the loss of accountability. The more you automate process, and that's also what happened with in parenting at home, right? Like when things, everything is automated, everything is, oh, the AI, and then you forget if the human is still the one making the decision, they don't own the mistakes anymore. If shit happens, sorry. But if
accountability.
like things, bad things happen because some process were automated, some process were given outsourced to AI or some other tool, you often a CEO or even parents forget where does the accountability fall into? That's why a lot of the time at home that I apply is like, I want my kids to own part of the decision, be part of that because they know we can't blame it on, it's because the AI told me to do so. Like, no, you own, you choose, you have the choice to not do this. You, as much as you can, at least.
It's true that now that because I write about cybersecurity because actually it's one of my domain and work. So most of toys now, especially for children, and application on iPad and even school platforms, is like they will deploy lots of AI application totally invisible about what's the dynamic of them and what data is doing to them, or data extraction, whether it's camera or
Mhm.
anything. And I find this is very, very challenging because parents will buy toys and he doesn't understand what is the invisible AI dynamic going behind it or data extraction. How do you help your parents in choosing or selecting AI apps or toys for their children?
That is really hard because I have a very stern principle on my end. If if any tool captures my child's data, I would be like, no, right? Unless I know where to find it. So maybe more like red flags. I will share red flags. One red flag is if you don't know it in the app, it doesn't easily, or the tool doesn't easily tell you how to download your data, how to delete your data, that's a no-go. Like a simple test would be that. And another piece is also whether or not you can opt out of your data to be used as training. My often worry is that, hey, like it's, and a lot of parents are, legitimately worried, are we training the replacement of our children, right? And I won't go that far, but truly, like for me, is what is truly yours is your data. And it's something I told my child a lot because it's also a link to other danger issue is consent. What does it mean for consent? And consent in parenting goes through 360 so many ways, but if you just go to technology, it means your data, right? Um, hey, did we consent? Did they ask us to consent to share data? Did they give us a consent to training? Can I take away my consent whenever I want? If I can't do that, that's probably a bad tool for your kids, and that's probably not like it's not great. If they say they have, but they cannot tell you where, that also is bad, right? Transparency is key a lot of these technology tool, and I feel for the teachers also because sometimes they are given tools that is like by the school district, they're going to use it. They're not trained on like whether it's okay to upload my child's drawing
Curriculum.
into that pictures, like all that stuff that is
But
of your
how about,
child.
yes, how about toys that are like chatbot, like they talk to you?
Yeah.
And this one, you don't know what the amount of training and the culture. Because, for example, me and you come from Eastern culture. We have other list of do and don't that doesn't fit with the Western, or we have some Western like do and don't that doesn't fit with us. Sorry. So sorry about that. So there is a lot of toys now that they talk to children and this chat. How do you handle this one? How do you pick one? Uh, would you trust a child to speak to a toy that it talks to them and comforts them? Would you recommend them in the first place?
I I I personally do not recommend. I tend to see technology, it needs to be purpose built, right? Like if it's like a general purpose is to just be a friend, then it's already in itself it's a bad purpose, at least for me, because you want to help kids build their own social capital, build their own interactions, build a
I agree.
healthy expectations of what a relationship should be. And a lot of these chatbot with the sycophancy and all that, it's not a healthy way to model to your child what a relationship should look like. Um, because they need to understand that a relationship is both ways. The way like if Faria, you're a great friend. Like I would love, like not me always taking from you, right? I would love to be able to be of help for you. And in a chatbot, it's always a take, take, take. Me as a user, you serve me, I get everything from you most of like almost all the time. So for children, I would not recommend because they haven't seen or they do not have built yet the expectations of what a healthy relationship should look like. And also they have not learned the struggles of relationship. And I hate to keep saying the word struggle, and but it is important for our children to struggle in a healthy way.
So that
How
emotional intelligence has to come from interaction with people,
Yeah.
with real transactional give and takes and a conversation to learn to listen, to understand personal cues, not just a toy who move like this. And I find them actually, I would totally agree with you. I find them stupid, but I understand them. Some parents are very busy and they would like to keep it to a child so they can talk, so they doesn't get bored. But the damage of them is far greater than loneliness or leaving a child to be bored and imagine a world for himself. I totally agree with you. They are not a good toy perspective or alternative to a child.
Yeah, and sometimes it is. is a struggle for a lot of parents. Like as a working parent, also, it's our society have moved away from like a really large social capital. By social capital, I mean like relationship you can rely on, and it's not only family, right? It is from maybe a work colleague, a neighbor that you can rely on, so, and you can trust truly if there's anything, you can call on them, and you and have your also be confident enough to have a play friend with your children, and that's hard like these days, that is scarce, but that is what we have to help our child build, which is their own social capital, someone they know they can trust, or at least someone um, they can start building that, or discern whether or not, oh, that was not a good friend, right? Like you sometimes you want to say, okay, the way that your friend treat you doesn't sound like a good friend. You should maybe have you talked to them about it? Like make them also know relationship can be improved, or and all that fun stuff that goes into being a friend.
Would you limit the use of AI? Like in a chapter, one of our colleague, Sarah Annette, she spoke about, and she writes a lot about the eye risk in terms of this atrophy of these cognitive skills due to dependent on AI. So, do you limit or do you suggest limiting or make it conditioned the use AI for children?
There should be
Especially in some
conditions.
ages, or like how to approach it or how to interact with it.
There should be some conditions for sure. I think the condition would differ based on age and based on skills of the children, and also like maturity. So I won't have like an answer that would definitely like a 10-year-old shouldn't do this. No, it depends what kind of 10-year-old do you have, right? But I also think if your child is not, if they don't already have the skills to articulate themselves, know who they are and their preferences, I won't give them a general purpose tool. Again, I'm very much a proponent of purpose-built tools. Like if and any use of technology, not just AI, needs to be purpose-built, or need to be purposeful. So I can't just tell my child like, oh yeah, go watch YouTube TV for like 5 hours. For what, right? Like if I want them, hey, this is your time to watch this, and we are gonna, you like this topic, we can enjoy because this is for enjoyment, an hour for this, right? And then after that, hey, oh, you want to use your computer, not your, like our computer, to learn, like maybe they want to learn Arabic, right? Okay, let's use a website to learn Arabic together, play games to learn Arabic. Great, but it's a purpose built that I know this website is for this, and this is the tool to help learn what skills. I will not let it go off to like this is can do all, because sometimes as if you also work in technology, sometimes it's a trade-off. If you want to build something that can do everything, then therefore it's some trade-off on the other skills. I am a proponent of like purpose built, so I know this can do this very well, and I will only use it for that. But of course, there should be a medium, not a medium, a floor requirement of skills for kids to be able to use something. Again, I will go back to the example of cooking, right? If the
Mhm.
kids cannot use knife properly, I would not ask it to go cooking in a Michelin star, like great kitchen.
Yes.
That is sometimes what we're doing with the kids, right? Like, oh, they don't know how to drive, let's give them a Ferrari. Like, it's not that. We want to give them that floor of like, they need to be able to do this before you can let them drive a Ferrari and hurt somebody else or even hurt themselves. Like, that needs to be clear, I think, for a lot of parents. You need to know what is appropriate. You need to know if your kids can do A and B before you let them do. But also for their point, I think the first chapter talks about that cognitive offloading also, and we do that a lot as parents, and I do that too. But I try to be more aware of what I'm offloading. Like I don't do meal planning anymore. I don't have time. I don't have any passion for cooking. I don't have any passion for figuring out our groceries. I can confidently offload that and have no qualms about like, I cannot. That I think it's more of an awareness of what you're offloading, and that's where we link it to the theme of my chapter of this invisible curriculum. Is everything starts with awareness of like what are you giving away, if you're okay with that. Okay, I'm not a authoritarian parent, but you need to
I
know.
Yes, I believe AI is forcing parents now to invest more time with their children because now they are going to be
Hmm.
replaceable if they leave enough gap. It's like AI is really maybe is correcting the chaos that has been built due to our life and working lives that taken away most parents from home. So maybe it will bridge the relationship again to normal state, because if parent did not invest time and be there instead of AI, they will be totally replaceable, and this is going to be the damage that totally is not worth it.
Yeah.
Um, Most of the prior AI, most parents were actually struggling with Disney and all the anime because
Hmm.
lots of anime were not just bias, they introduced certain culture or societal bias that some parent doesn't agree. Some of them were extremely violent. So, and we don't watch the movie before you watch it to a child, and you will see a child is mimicking. Now with AI, is actually is amplifying this thread and this gap, and is forcing lots of parents to invest and be the sound that or the cornerstone that is like, you are my comfort, I will come to you, not you are my oracle,
Yeah.
not AI or a toy or these chat bots that they give it in a toy to speak to a child. I'm totally against them until maybe in adolescence, even until late age. They should never talk to a toy. They should speak to a human being, especially a parent, like someone they can trust for their answer, to give them not just empathy, to give them love, to give them like teaching, parenting, this bonding that is
Yeah.
maternity instinct that you give to a child.
And I think that's the hard part, right? Like, I think we kind of know that that's what we should do, but in the daily life, it's
It's not
harder to
easy.
do that. It's not easy, and that's why, like, I
It's
try to
investment.
go. We have to learn with them, and
Yes.
kind of like sometimes maybe even let them teach us. Like, oh, is your friend like doing
The
this at
curiosity
school?
really is a learning curve, because
Yeah,
they often they are not aware of limitations. They doesn't have conditions, so they think left and right, and this is why in until age of 3, the brain of a child is he can learn and adapt not just languages, informations, everything, if we leave their imagination alive.
yeah,
It's true, they teach us a lot of things, but we have to invest time and patient. I believe any child just need two things: attention and love. And these are the only two things that will make him grow and open to the world positively and be creative.
yeah. I love that, and I think it's harder, especially in the like. I cannot imagine what their future would be like, right? Like, so to be that parents before in the past that would be able to tell you, if you be a doctor, you're going to be successful. Like, just be
Yeah.
an engineer, you're going to be successful. We can't do that anymore. So the guidance we have as a parent, I think, is give them or allow them to be comfortable with the uncertainty. The skill set that they're going to need is not the skill set of like you be the best coder in the world, but will be, are you the person who are able to pivot fast? And how can you pivot fast?
Agility.
Agility, right? Like where can you relearn stuff quickly? And it's almost like we need to teach our kids the ability to learn again. And that's why I really like want kids to enjoy the process of learning, and then being able to see AI not like as, oh, there's always going to be right. Oh, no, no. You've seen, like, if you've seen the back end, like sometimes it's all like
Yeah,
duct tape and all that.
because how to teach them is like failure is an opportunity to grow. Is actually
Yeah.
failure is this, the door that's open to learn something new or to adapt or to adjust. Failure is not a shame, and not to be bullied about it or not to be afraid or ashamed of it. This is something that we should actually invest more time to instill in children. The
Absolutely.
ability, we have a saying in Egypt, like we have to be like a bamboo. It's like the bamboo tree wave with any if any storm happen, they bend down but they stand up again. It doesn't break.
Yes.
The bamboo is we always teach be a bamboo. You have to move with whenever the storm is coming or is there's a wind or a rain, but just don't be broken. Uh,
Yes.
be strong enough to bend and move and adapt and return back to your normal state. This is very important because children now they are coming very very weak, and you see in a lot of schools the bullying, the shaming, and they really get affected psychologically and health wise. We've seen the case that unfortunately this mother who lost her child because he hanged himself because AI therapy told him
Mm,
end it. This is not, this should be illegal actually, this kind of application, but who monitor them? There is no policymaker need to intervene, but as a parent, this is your own responsibility because the child is yours. It's not that you give him school and good school and you give him good toys. This can really backfire back at you.
and I think part of the, and it's hard for me to hear, like, I know it's my child, but I also would like to think that my child don't only have me to rely on. And I think that's where sometimes, like, going back to that social capital, like in these days and age, I want my child to
Have the right.
know, yeah, have options also. Like, okay, this I can ask dad, I can ask mom, I can ask grandma, I can ask my, like this person, I can ask my teacher. Make them realize that their only option isn't to ask for a chat to a chatbot, right? There are many resources that they can rely on, and that um, we are not like there to judge them as a parent. Like if God forbid, you know, I find out actually my child is already using a chatbot, because that's the realities. A lot of a lot of parents, right? We cannot, we're not with our children 24/7.
That's right.
So the hard part is also being able to have that open communication, and for them to not be scared when you find out if they are doing something that you don't want them to do, and you can have that conversation and be like, I don't recommend that. Let's stop this. It's not healthy for you. But here's what we're gonna do for you instead to replace that behavior that I do not like. And it's hard, like especially with my neurodivergent child who's like, there's a
Yeah,
habit that we don't like, a behavior we don't like. How do we replace that habit and give them another option? And that's is often what we're going to have to face a lot with technology addiction.
not
And
to be,
it's like,
but to learn. Yes, to learn not to be behind, but use the option is like AI is a route for knowledge. It is not the knowledge itself. It's
correct,
like,
yes.
yes, they have to be used as a tool, as you mentioned in your chapter, not the oracle, which is actually a very important line that we have to teach, not even ourselves.
Yeah.
It's utility. It is not a product we aim to get at the end. Okay. If you are going to give a how-to guide for Substack or the readers in the She Write community or to everyone, um, like a playbook or how to handle the AI or to approach AI in children lives. Like,
Yeah, I would start with awareness first of like, where does those technology live in your life right now? Just to do an honest check. Where
mhm.
does it live? Where and is that, are you comfortable with that? And then secondly, like more importantly, if I like right now, I'm gonna repeat this a lot, is I want to build the confidence of my children and the capability of my children of their own self. And that's where agency start, right? If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will, and then you will start believing other things, and technology as an oracle. So we need to start giving them the confidence, like, I can do this, I can figure this out. Or if I cannot, I can figure this out together with my parents or with my resources. So that, I think, the second principle I think people will need to realize. And lastly is help learn together, co-learn together with your child about what AI is. Do not leave it as a magic tool that, oh, you know what, somehow now I can make this image. Oh, do you know how they can do that? Do you notice why it creates an image this way versus not? Have explicit conversations about AI itself. So not about like necessarily teaching your kids, again, not fluency of the tool,
Yes.
but the reasoning behind usage, the start comparing tools. That's what I would go about. Like an example I can probably end with is my one of my older child wanted to learn how to make an app. Like, okay, great. Like, obviously, the immediate reaction is obviously I can just ask an AI tool to do this like in 5 minutes. But I didn't go that far. What I did is I go back to a very rudimentary app tools that MIT has. And MIT is an MIT app builder. It forces my child, before I go there, I'd ask her, why don't you design first what kind of app you want? Use your notebook, draw the UX, and I don't use the word UX, obviously. Draw what
Yes.
the application you want. Tell me exactly in different pictures that
The
you draw,
process.
like yeah, with the process, what do you want you or your friend when they use this app to do, right? So I force her to think, and that when she does that, okay, let's go through this MIT app builder, and it's actually a little bit more rudimentary, which is great. So I show her, oh, so you actually need to pull the data, you actually need to find an image to put here and all
Oh,
that.
nice.
Once she goes that, and then I'm like, do you want to see, now that you have an understanding of what image you want, you have an understanding of what, if you click this button, you can tell it to go here. Now, why don't we create then the full prompt of how this AI tool can do it, right?
The
But
construction journey.
the construction journey.
Yes.
I help them go through the construction journey so that by the time the AI app spit out her website, she was like, huh, I don't like it this way. How come when I tell it this way, it goes like this? It it went like a beautiful learning journey because she has already her vision that she came
Yes.
up with first in her notebook. It looks like obviously not great, but um,
Gibberish.
it is from
Uh,
there, it forces her to think, sort of the metacognition of like,
Question.
where do you want to go?
It's true. Most, in companies, any leader will have not just a metric. We will have AI audit. So from time to time, we need to do AI audit to see if our the output is actually what we're looking for and how it's aligned with our projections. So I think with child, we need to teach them as well the AI audit. So do you have any insight or interactive exercise to teach parents to do kind of AI audit to usage with their children or their children implication on using AI?
Yeah, so I have a two framework. It's more so like how you can talk about AI and then think about it. I call it as talk and think about AI, and it's really it's pretty basic, and that's the whole idea. We don't want this to be complicated, right? How you can start tuning in with your children, action it out, and then really learn together and all that, and even in the think framework. But long story short, yes, and I think it's not it doesn't have to be complicated. You need to start small. What I start with my parents is a Sunday audit with my kids. Sunday morning, we kind of figure out um, how we consume our technology on the weekend. And Sunday morning, honestly, it's like usually the time when people like put down all their guard and then just do what feels good for them, which is when he's usually like, hey, how do you spend your Sunday morning? What technology you let your kids use, what techno like that I think is a great time. Because weekdays, sometimes you have already a schedule, but Sunday is more honest. People are more
It's
relaxed if you're gonna do
family
it. So,
it's 100% family time. Yeah, I believe when it comes to children, you need to invest time and not just an energy, attention. And AI is going to push more parents to focus on details because actually these tiny details they are going to get inside and they are going to really to affect
yeah.
children. So I would have a question because I know a lot of my friends are dealing. I don't have children myself, but all my friends are dealing with. Most children, they go to school and they are mimicry. They see a friend is having this app, is using this toy or using this, and they come home and they want it. How do you talk or how do you draw a line of no or to convince them like we should not follow? It doesn't mean if an app is popular, we should get it. how do you draw a line or how to handle this conversation? It's very
So
difficult.
ideally, you already have the that guardrails first that you want, right? What's right in your family before you have. But the conversation I would recommend is unpack it with your kids and of like, oh, that they like the app. Why do they like the app? Why do you like the app? What can you get out of the app? If you don't get it, and is there anything anywhere else where you could get that sort of access, like or benefit? And obviously not that usage, but you have to have unpack the why before you say no. So whatever your child answer of that, usually you can come back when saying like, huh, it seems like this app is not very beneficial based on what you tell me and based on what this child also like. It seems like you want to like maybe they want, oh, because I want to play a game that's fun. Oh, it seems like you already have some fun games that you have at home or the ones that we already have that we define as the games that they like. Why don't we do that instead? And I'm still gonna review the app, but in the meantime, why don't you just do this? And then by the time you've reviewed and figure out whether it's not a good app or a good app, you'll be able to tell them this is why not. If you have a better option, we can review, but this doesn't, this doesn't allow us to download our data. This doesn't allow us to delete our data. This doesn't allow, and help them understand, like, do you know that they save your pictures? Like, can you
But
imagine the many pictures?
very
Like,
difficult with especially with adolescents because the influence of friends it's usually far greater from parenthood because actually there is a phase from 7 to 14 they start building characters and their friends are the most important player in their life because they interact with them more than they love their parent but their friends play huge influence in their decision making and their preference their choice you see it we have seen it a lot growing up so I bet would differ as like would you think is better to like every school they have the mommy groups or like you talk to the mothers because this needs to be a collective view like
oh,
even
absolutely, yeah.
participate in conversation or engage with the school we would like to do this collectively to study it or to have a guardrail to make it like general, not to be specific. Because if you are alone saying no, your child will tell. He's not gonna hate you, but he will be not okay, and he
I
might
hear
do it
you about that.
behind your back. So you don't actually you can force them to have like a separate life, like in front of you, like okay, mommy, I do this and I do that, but it's like behind doors or
Yeah.
with friends. He will go for them. And I
Yeah, I
think this
think,
we need a collective
no,
decisions.
absolutely. There's a lot of parents' movement around that. Like, wait until eighth. If I don't know if you heard that, where parents want to, they don't want to provide their kids access to mobile phones and all that until the eighth grade.
What Australia did is like actually is really
Yes.
great, and I
No, I
think
mean, in the
Spain
sense, I guess
this
I
decision is
agree. Yeah, there's a smartphone free childhood movement in the US as well. They're trying to move that, and I'm in full support of those frame initiative as well. But in reality, as you said, like we're alone. Like, what can we do at home with the things that we can control? That's one. And two, I think I echo your point about like, yes, we need to work with other parents, but
yes,
how do you
you're
find the
gonna be the
fellow?
black sheep.
Yes. I would encourage you like to join these initiative if you feel like you are not going, if you're not
Or
getting
start them
anywhere with
yourself.
it, and you or start a chapter. Like I'm part of our local chapter of that smartphone free childhood initiative. There are
Mhm.
many initiatives out there that you can start on your own, and trust me, there's a lot of parents. It's really encouraging if actually if you find the fellow parents that believe in what you believe in, a similar value, you can find that and can definitely do that. One I would recommend around that is, again, you still have to come back to building the right people, the right social capital for your kids. Um, like if you're still allowing, like, there's the same group, then okay, then you need to help them find a better resource group than these friends. Talk to the parents of these friends, make sure you're aligning on like what are the things that they like to do that you feel like, hey, that that's
Just
not
limit their
safe.
influence. You
Yeah.
cannot raise a child in isolation. You have to see the external factor because you're not dealing with AI, you're dealing with friends, you're dealing with the influence, societal bias, a lot of factors. You have to, like marionette, you are playing with a lot of strings in the same time to
Absolutely.
move one thing. And actually, AI, I believe, is going to force parents to focus back on children and parenting. Otherwise, they're going to lose it completely.
But I also don't want it to sound like it's all up to the parents, like the same way you're looking at cybersecurity and the Swiss cheese model, right, of safety. Like, parent cannot do this all alone. I definitely believe like policy needs to get better, school have to get better. Of course, there will be parent movement, but to say like, it's not that parents have a lot they could do at home, and that's what I want to empower parents to do, but also realizing that it has to be the Swiss cheese model of like parents will be able to do this. There'll be some holes here that you cannot pass through. Schools will be filter this, and then there will be other filter somewhere else. We all want the platform to do better. Of course, like there's just no one solution that would be great, and that's why empowering our children to make better decision, be accountable of that is if you're lucky and your child's still small and you can shape them, like that's probably the best way. If your child's already teens and it's kind of like harder to work with, that's when you need to do a
It's true.
different approach. So it's where is your child at? Truly is the question.
Yeah, actually, your chapter is really great and touch a lot of important and vital point in for parents and for children. So, what do you hope your reader or anyone who reads the book and your chapter to learn from, or what is the message that you want to deliver to everyone?
Yeah, one message is again is awareness of AI is already around us as an invisible curriculum. And two, you as a parent, you have a choice. So we're not all helpless per se. A choice to co-learn with your children, a choice to make explicit these invisible choices that either your school have made for you, the platform have made for us. Um, Build the choice around and help your child make better choices together with you. So yeah, so it's awareness and choice. Different layers around that, obviously, and where your journey is. But I'm hoping we can start thinking about that.
Yeah, it's true. So, thank you so much, Danny, for actually your time and actually your chapter and your insights. You have your newsletter. What is the last advice you wrote about or article about newsletter that you recommend for readers that would are not aware of your work to start by it or start reading it?
Yeah, so there's the last one I think would be important is around how do you teach your child to make like a friendship when AI companions everywhere, right? Like
Yes.
I think that's an
Perfect.
important conversation to have. Like how do you help them build those trust with humans again, almost like that, and then so that they have enough to hold on to and not resort to AI companions immediately.
Social to build social intelligence and to band with children is like
Yeah,
one of the most important thing is to understand cues, how the facial the expression, the tone. Children can feel it, but they cannot
yes,
understand it. They feel something. No, actually, it's important to read and learn how to communicate with children, not just adults.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So, Danny, is there is anything that you want to draw light on, or you would like to discuss that I miss, or any point that you want to add?
No, thank you so much for this lovely opportunity. I think the last piece is like just we have a great set of writers in the She
Yeah,
Writes community. I would love to highlight other writers that are doing great work. I think in part of our book, it's truly a way that it's not one narrative, it's multi-layered and multi perspective that I think would be good for any type of readers. Because I think sometimes you're looking for one type and you can't find it in that book. I think
to hear
uh,
different voices and
we have
angles.
different voices, and I love that. I love that about the book.
Yeah, diversity is actually one of the actually not just talent. It's actually one of the addition of the book that you can learn, because there is a lot of voices with different angle, different experience and backgrounds. So each one bring his own perspective. So this is actually one of the beauty of the book.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, Danny, so where readers can find you, what is the name of your Substack, and how to reach you on LinkedIn is like where to find
Yeah. So my Substack name is AIPTO, but the website is aiparenttech.com. If you want to go there, of course, you can find me on LinkedIn as Dhani Ramadhani, and happy to connect with people. Like I don't do this as like a way to sell anything.
you?
I'm here just sharing. No, absolutely. I'm not one of those like momfluencer out there.
They
So
might
just
have questions.
yeah, so I'm here truly like I'm passionate about an issue and I would love to share anything I found helpful and resources with other parents.
Yes. So this is Dhani Ramadhani, and I'm going to link all her actually network, how to connect with her. So if you have any questions regarding parenting, please reach to Dhani. Thank you so much, Dhani, actually, for your time and for this opportunity to discuss your chapter.
Yeah.
And looking forward to read more your newsletter and your
Oh,
tips.
absolutely.
No,
Pleasure to be here and thank you.
no,
Everyone, like Afrida is great. So
no, thank you so much. And I'm very sorry for any technicality because it's like with Substack, I'm still struggling to handle the life and everything.
no worries. That's how technology works for us. Sometimes it just
No, thank you so
All
much,
right.
Danny, for
Thank
your
you.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, have a
happy
great
Friday
Friday.
and have a nice weekend for tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.